Thank you, councillors. Please be seated. Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see so many members of the public here this evening. Welcome to Swale Borough Council's full council meeting. To explain what to expect, this is a meeting held in public, but it is not a public meeting. So only those invited to speak will be able to do so. This is your opportunity to observe the items being debated by members of this council. As we know, many of you are particularly interested in item 9, the motion on the District of Sanctuary Initiative. I will bring this item forward to earlier in the agenda. Of course, you are very welcome to stay and listen to the debate on all the items throughout tonight's meeting. As a reminder to everybody in this chamber, both members and members of the public, I expect this meeting to be conducted respectfully. Shouting out or interrupting will not be tolerated. Anyone displaying this behaviour will be asked to leave. Please be advised that the meeting will be live streamed and data collected during the recording of the meeting will be retained in accordance with the Council's data retention policy. The recording of the meeting may be added to the Council's website. The following staff are in attendance: the Chief Executive, the Monitoring Officer, Democratic and Electoral Services Manager. Item 1. There is no scheduled test of the fire alarm. If the fire alarm does sound, please leave the meeting quickly using the doors signed as fire escapes and assemble in the car park at the front of the building and await instructions. If there is anyone in attendance who might require assistance in evacuating the building, please make yourselves known. Can you ask if there's anyone in the public gallery that will require assistance in evacuating? And may I ask if there is anybody in the public gallery who will require assistance if there is a fire alarm test? Thank you. Agenda item 2, I invite the Chief Executive to give apologies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have received apologies from Councillors Monique Bonney, Derek Carnell, Roger Clark, Simon Clark, Alex Eyre, Charles Gibson, Kieran Golding, Carol Jackson, Elliot Jays, Rich Lehman, Tom Nundy, Ashley Shield and Mark Tucker.
Thank you. Item 3 is the minutes. As the minutes of the last Councillor Martin.
Apologies from Councillor Claire Martin. I believe she's running late.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Thank you. Agenda item 3 is the minutes. As the minutes from the last council meeting held on the 19th of November 2025 have not yet been published, these will be considered at the next council meeting. Agenda item 4, declarations of interest. Do members have any other interest to declare? Thank you, members. Agenda item 5 is my announcements. So the Deputy Mayor and I, who unfortunately he is not here tonight, have now done over 100 engagements between us. And we have done a number of engagements mainly on the island. I won't mention all of them, but there are a few I feel I do need to mention. We had the Swale Youth Democracy event here a couple of weeks ago, but I know the leader will be discussing that. And that was a truly amazing event, meeting some fantastic students from 6 of our schools from across the borough. I attended a celebration of Romanian Day, which was a couple of weeks ago in Kemsley, and that was just a fantastic event of dance, music, food. It was truly lovely. I have attended Lights of Love. I attended at Highstead and attended at Minster Abbey, and they really did bring, for me, the true meaning of Christmas. I attended the Salvation Army Carol concert at the Island Church on Sunday, which was a truly wonderful event. There are two events I wanted to put together because there is a common theme on this. So Sittingbourne and Milton Scouts concert and the opening of the Sheppey Hospital shop. Both these events were lovely events, but what it pointed out to me is their need, both of these organisations, for adult volunteers. The Scouts especially have over 300 young people on their waiting lists, and without adult volunteers they will not be able to experience the Scout Association. So if anyone knows of anyone that feels that they want to give to the community as an adult volunteer, please let me know. So I'm just going to hold up while people are sorting themselves in the public gallery. Okay? Thank you. So my final comment was on 16 days of action. It is quite sad that we have to have 16 days of action. I think we are all agreed for White Ribbon, when really we should have it every day of the year for what is going on around domestic abuse. So I thank everyone for getting involved in the 16 days of action. I would encourage anyone that wants to be a White Ribbon ambassador or champion to please take the time to do this. So thank you very much. And can I ask, if you have a mobile phone, can you please put it on silent? Thank you. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, item 9, which is the motion, will be brought forward, and that will now be the next item, members. So item 9 is now the next agenda item. A motion on the District of Sanctuary initiative has been received as included in the agenda. The item has a time limit of 30 minutes. I invite Councillor Hannah Perkin to propose the motion. You have 5 minutes to speak, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, before I begin, I want to be clear about what this motion truly represents. This is not a slogan, it's not a badge, it's not a symbolic gesture to be framed and forgotten. Despite the misinformation spread and capitalised on by some, it is also not about our national borders or changing the law, and it's also not about what government has done, is doing, or says it will do in the future. This is about what we choose to do locally. It's about whether we treat vulnerable people or as problems. Becoming a District of Sanctuary is a commitment to how we behave as a council, how we shape our services, and how we speak about some of the most vulnerable people in our communities. It means encouraging welcome into everyday life of our borough, in schools, in GP surgeries, in libraries, in housing offices, in community centres. It means ensuring people seeking safety are not pushed to the margins, but supported to belong. At its heart, the City of Sanctuary movement is built on a simple but powerful idea that every place can be a place of safety, and that everyone has a role to play in making that real, from statutory services and voluntary groups to faith organisations, businesses and residents themselves. This motion asks us to place Swale firmly on the side of humanity. It asks us to say that compassion is not weakness and welcome is not naive, and that leadership means standing up for those who often have no voice. I want you to imagine for a moment being a parent who realises that staying where you are could cost your child's life. Imagine standing in your own home knowing it's no longer safe. Imagine leaving everything behind in a hurry, not because you want to, but because you have no choice. That is the reality of the people this motion is about. Many arrive on our shores carrying fear, trauma and loss, but also a small, stubborn hope that maybe this place might finally be safe. What kind of welcome they receive next is up to us. The motion simply says that in Swale, people will be met with dignity and not suspicion, with kindness, not barriers, with support, not silence. And crucially, it builds on what so many in our communities already do quietly, tirelessly, and often without recognition. Volunteers offering English lessons, community organisations organising donations, schools supporting children who have seen more of the world's cruelty than anyone ever should. faith groups opening their doors, neighbours checking on neighbours. This motion doesn't replace that work. It recognises it, it values, and it seeks to protect it. If we pass this motion tonight, the message goes beyond this chamber. It reaches families living quietly with fear being part of their daily lives. It reaches volunteers wondering if they're truly supported in the work that we are doing, to both stand up for their values, often in the face of hostility, and to provide valuable support for others. It reaches people who are told far too often that they're not wanted. And it tells them clearly, in Swale, you are welcome. In Swale, you matter. In Swale, you are not alone. And to those who trade in fear and division, it sends another message just as clearly. Your politics of intimidation will not take root here. Where hate grows, it doesn't stay contained. It spreads, it divides neighbours, it corrodes trusts, hardens communities, and teaches future generations that some people are more worthy of safety than others. Bullying isn't strength. Intimidation is cowardice. Madam Mayor, history doesn't just judge councillors by the services we run, it judges them by the values they defend when it matters most. Tonight, we can choose courage over caution, kindness over cruelty, community over fear. Let's make Swale a true district of sanctuary, not just in name, but in heart. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen in the public gallery, I asked for respect when it comes to listening. We're not going to be able to hear people if you're shouting.
Maybe go and visit some of the raped children.
Gentlemen, I will give you one more chance and then I will ask you to leave the public gallery. That gentleman to leave. Mr. Hilden, if you'd like to leave, please. You to leave, please.
No, follow the true facts, don't it? We say no. We say no.
I now close the meeting for an adjournment. Thank you.
We say no. We say no. We say no. We say no. We say no.
Seated members. Councillor Alistair Gould, I invite you to second the motion and ask if you wish to speak now or reserve your right.
I'll happily second the motion, but I will reserve my right.
Thank you. I open the debate for members to debate the motion. First is Councillor Booth, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And can I start by endorsing your comment early this morning? I wear my white ribbon with pride. I understand what it means. Thank you. Madam Mayor, I read the motion very carefully, and I'm very conscious of some of the undertones. I'm aware that this country, at this moment in time, is experiencing significant pressures on the residents born into this country and members of the wider community that choose to come to this country. That's where I want to start, Madam Mayor. There is a method for virtually anybody in this world to come to this country. Now, before any wisecracks about, yeah, but if you're Australian or if you're New Zealand or if you're Canadian, you've got an automatic right to come here. I understand that. But the way this is worded, Madam Mayor, doesn't lead to that. It says Swale should be a place where refugees and asylum seekers are welcomed, supported and valued as members of our community. Now let's press pause on that for a moment, please, Madam Mayor. There are tens of thousands of residents in Swale today that are absolutely struggling to live. They are struggling to maintain a mortgage. They are struggling to maintain a decent education and to bring up a family. They are struggling. You've got to be living under a rock to have not noticed over the past months the issues that are affecting England. The issues of people coming to this country, Madam Mayor, illegally. That is my point. I have no problem with a legal migrant. Somebody that wants to come to this country to work as a doctor or a gardener or whatever they want to do, there is a process that they can follow to come to this country and live and prosper and pay their way. But this doesn't cover that. This says all refugees and all asylum seekers. We have people on the Isle of Sheppey, Madam Mayor, that have gone through the Second World War that are living on the streets. And it is a pertinent point. They are living roughly. The system does nothing for them. It does nothing for them.
Time, Councillor.
Thank you. I've got just a few more seconds. I can't support the motion as it stands, so I shall be voting against it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bowen, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too am also speaking against this motion, and I'll try to do so constructively and with a bit of good humour if possible, because the subject is already emotionally charged. Let me start by saying the intentions behind this are admirable. Safety, dignity, inclusion, all should be the rights of all people. No one here is against those. but intentions don't automatically make a policy workable. And in this case, I believe the proposal creates more problems than it solves. First, public opinion. Our community is deeply divided on asylum and refugee issues. Some residents strongly support initiatives like this. Others are genuinely worried about pressures on services, houses and fairness. If our aim is community cohesion, this motion risks doing the opposite. Declaring ourselves a district of sanctuary may make some feel proud, but it will leave others feeling ignored or provoked. And once people feel that way, no set of Refugee Week posters are going to fix that. Second, the practical implications. We're being asked to appoint lead officers, review policies, run awareness campaigns and coordinate with multiple agencies. All of this costs time and money, two things the council currently has about as much of as a student after Freshers Week. Officers are already stretched thin, and taking on a new set of commitments will inevitably divert resources away from the core services residents rely on. In my view, this council needs to focus on its core responsibilities, not to be everything to everyone. Third, housing. Even though sanctuary status doesn't grant priority housing, public perception often tells a different story. And once that belief takes hold, we'll spend months explaining that no, we haven't reshuffled the housing list, and no, there isn't a luxury sanctuary village hidden behind Swale House. Instead of building trust, this motion could erode it. Fourth, this would pull local partners, schools, health services and businesses into what is clearly a politically charged initiative. Many will be reluctant or simply unable to take on more, and understandably so. And finally, this motion ties Swale to national asylum policy, whether we like it or not. A policy area full of rapid changes and heated political debate. By joining a movement that takes a very specific moral and political stance, we place the council directly inside that national argument and becomes very hard to step back. So in summary, while the values are positive, the practical, financial and political realities make this the wrong approach for Swale right now. We should focus on uniting our community, supporting our existing services and helping all vulnerable residents without adopting a label that risks dividing opinion, stretching resources and creating expectations we cannot meet. And for those reasons, Madam Mayor, I will be voting against this motion.
Councillor.
Councillor Richard Palmer, please.
Madam Mayor, can I just interrupt? Could you ask members of the public to stop filming us? Several.
I'm afraid we can't.
Madam Mayor, just for
it's illegal. People are allowed to film. We've just said that.
We've just said that. So, Councillor Richard Palmer, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This motion is politically motivated, and whereas it says it wants community cohesion, this motion has already increased community tensions, all because of political posturing. Immigration control is a national responsibility. Local councils have no authority over border control or asylum quotas. Passing this motion creates a false impression that Swale can influence migration. Government and EU failures created this crisis. The UK inward migration has exploded to a result of lax policies, political choices. EU free movement and weak external border enforcement has compounded the problem. The NATO-led intervention in Libya destabilised North Africa, creating a hub for human trafficking and mass immigration into Europe. I've worked in a war zone. I've seen refugees. These people arriving are not refugees from a war zone. They are economic migrants coming to scrounge off the country. Swale faces a housing shortage, NHS pressures, lack of GPs and strapped social care. Becoming a place of sanctuary risks signalling a willingness to absorb more asylum seekers, increasing demand without guaranteed funding. We're under pressure for housing, the NHS, the education is under pressure. You could see the debacle on Sheppey. People can't get places. Sanctuary commitments often require staff training, community programmes and partnership fees. The costs are unfunded. They're not in our budget. They won't be in the budget. This means local taxpayers will be picking up the bill, and services cut. We welcome those that are legally here and who legally apply to enter the UK, but we must reject motions that encourage more chaos and division. Compassion must be balanced with control. This motion does neither. This is a national failure. Local taxpayers should not bear the cost. I cannot support a politically motivated motion which has already damaged community cohesion. Members, every pound spent on a sanctuary initiative like this is a pound not spent on local priorities for our residents. I cannot support this motion and I will be voting against it. Thank you.
Councillor Ben Martin, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I hope you give me a little leeway as I start this not on the motion, but on the disgusting and deplorable way that people have spoken online about members in the past week. As has been said by yourself, many of us in this room are white ribbon ambassadors. We took that promise.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, point of order, not point of order, but at the moment, because of the noise, with respect to the gallery, we cannot hear the debate. And so we do, if we want members to vote on this and get to the point, then we need to listen. So please, please calm it down. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Martin.
Many of us took that white ribbon pledge, which says that we will never use, excuse or remain silent about violence against women and girls. Well, frankly, I'm going to take the opportunity right now to say some of the language that has been used online, that has been used to encourage abuse and to encourage attacks on some of our female councillors, including my learned colleague here, is most unacceptable. So I please hope that everyone can agree on that for certain. Stand up for what we've already promised, first and foremost. Now I turn to the motion itself. I fully support the motion. I went to school with a refugee from Afghanistan.
Right, okay. I know you feel very passionate about this issue tonight. But I'm sorry, but if I get any more interruptions, I will clear the gallery. And I know that's not what you want. You want to listen to the debate here tonight. So please listen. Thank you. Councillor Ben Martin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I was saying, I went to school with a young lad who had escaped Afghanistan by playing cricket. He escaped to Pakistan on the Afghan cricket team minibus. He did not board that bus to go back to Afghanistan. He ended up on the back of a lorry with just his cricket whites, nothing else. He eventually ended up in Calais and Dover via a long and arduous route. He studied here. He learnt English here. He was accepted by this community here, and in particular the community in Faversham at the time. He returned to Afghanistan and worked with the British military doing translation work. When the withdrawal by US and UK forces occurred not that long ago, he was a married man in Afghanistan with a target on his back and the back of his family. He was not permitted to get back on one of those flights back to the UK with his wife and children. He is back in the UK by other means. If we can't support those who are supporting our military, who can we support first and foremost? When I was at university, I attended with a young lady whose father had had to flee Iran after the Ayatollah came to power. He was a journalist. They fled first to Sweden, where they started making a life for themselves as a family, but had to move again because of the fatwa issued by the Ayatollah's regime. A fatwa which meant that their lives were at risk in their home in Sweden, their new home. So they came to the UK again as refugees. They contribute to our society. Those individual family members have amongst them doctors, nurses, teachers and journalists now. This is not about whether we're going to give additional housing. This is recognising the fact that we should be welcoming to all those who flee, whether it be war, whether it be famine, for what...
Time, Councillor.
And I will finish off by saying very simply, there is no such thing as an illegal person. Only those who have... Only those who have entered illegally. They are undocumented, they are not illegal as individuals. We have signed up as a nation to the United Nations Charter on Refugees. I fully support this motion and I applaud Councillors Perkin and Councillor Gould for bringing it forward.
Thank you. Councillor Speed, please. Then I'm going that way. One of those.
Keep it down until we get this kicked out.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I feel it goes without saying that every one of us in this chamber wants vulnerable people to be treated with dignity and fairness. My concern is about capacity and timing. This motion asks the Council to sign up to a national accreditation scheme run by an external charity, but it does so without explaining the very significant amount of work required after the motion is passed. Before any council is awarded sanctuary status, it must produce a detailed implementation plan, gather evidence that sanctuary principles have been embedded across services, carry out policy reviews, undertake staff and community engagement, and finally prepare a formal application and appraisal. This is not a quick or administrative exercise. Based on the experience of other councils, the full process typically takes at least 1 or 2 years or even longer. And that presents an issue for us here at Swale. In that sort of time frame, the council will no longer exist in its current form because of LGR. Any accreditation process would almost certainly have to be repeated under the new authority. I think LGR is going to be challenging enough without adding entirely new work streams, new governance structures, and new reporting obligations. We also have to be honest about public expectation. Branding ourselves a borough of sanctuary risks implying we have powers or funding we simply don't have. We should avoid creating confusion or over-promising outcomes that sit outside our control. And in light of the experience in places like Weston-super-Mare, where a similar motion was passed and then abandoned within months due to misunderstanding and politicisation, I think we should be cautious about adopting a label that can divide communities rather than bring them together. We can and should support vulnerable people through practical targeted measures and through our existing statutory duties. But in my view, we don't need to sign up to a lengthy, resource-intensive accreditation scheme that may not even survive local government reorganisation. So for these and other reasons, Madam Mayor, I will not be supporting the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Baldock, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Santanic, actually. If I can start.
Please do, Councillor Baldock.
I would like to first say I have a lot of respect for Councillor Perkin. I think she is a great local councillor and has done a lot of good in this borough. Indeed, I am wearing the same Santanic ritual top that Councillor Perkin wore last year. But I do not welcome this motion. I find this motion incredibly divisive. We have seen what is going on across the country. We have seen what is happening in Kent. We have always, as a country, been a home for genuine refugees and asylum seekers. That does not mean we have to welcome economic migrants en masse and fast-track them and make them welcome. This doesn't define what a refugee is. And I think people have different ideas about what a refugee is. I think people have different ideas about what is and is not genuine. Somebody who jumps on shore, gets deported back to France, and gets back on shore of this shore a few days later, I do not find a genuine refugee. So I find this an unwelcome motion. I also look at the things it asks us to consider. And it's an insult to our staff. Promoting awareness and understanding amongst council staff. We have staff that are working with genuine refugees and asylum seekers constantly. What do you think we are going to achieve by telling them they need to do it a bit more? Councillor Speed has made some excellent points about resources. Damn his eyes. But we have just put the budget out to consultation. Do you think if we'd have put in that budget, divert resources from existing services and supporting existing people to go through the administration and bureaucracy that this would require, we wouldn't have had even more responses? I think we would. This is not budgeted for. It also asks us, as he said, to sign up to a whole load of things that are uncosted. It is a blank cheque. I don't think economic migrants are welcome. Genuine asylum seekers have always been welcome. I'd like to thank Councillor Martin for reminding us about genuine refugees and genuine asylum seekers, because that marks the stark difference between what we have done for decades and what we are being asked to do in this motion. This is not a motion that brings cohesion and understanding. This is a motion that is flag waving, and I can't support it.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Worcester, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I do appreciate the fact that we've restarted this meeting. I know that this subject is contentious. I know that this subject is very high on people's priorities and agenda. However, I have to be aware that I am a Labour councillor, and actually, when I became a Labour councillor, my job was to represent the people of my area, not my own personal opinion, not the opinion at Westminster, not the opinion at KCC, but the people who bothered to turn up on that voting day and actually elect me. So, on that note, I would say that I have very grave issues with this motion. My main concern is that actually, when I speak to the residents in my area, they have got needs, actual, real physical needs. We have got 4 of the most deprived areas in the UK that sits within Swale. And actually, the needs for those areas are huge. That can range from housing, that's social services, that's children's support. And what I would like to see is Swale's work directed to the people who actually live here and contribute to this borough on a daily basis. So, sorry, Gallery, I don't want to lose my thread. My concern is that when we're talking about people, everybody should be considered. So, for example, all of the residents, my residents turned up for Remembrance, all of those people that turned up for the recent Christmas event, all of those people that turn up at the school gates every single day, those are the people that I would like to see represented by Swale the most. And I'd also like to hand this back to say, absolutely, asylum seekers should be supported, but they should be supported by the relevant organisation that is responsible for them. Central government hold the responsibility for asylum seekers and the process, and KCC hold the responsibility for unaccompanied children. Now, those are 2 good things, and absolutely, I would absolutely welcome people who have been through the process and want to come into a community and add to it, absolutely. But to accept the sanctuary status as it is, as it's written in the motion, I believe that it's not right. It's not quite worded correctly, and actually the support should be there. Our services should be directed for those people that need us right now, that have lived in this borough for a long time, and those people that are coming in Absolutely. But it should be after the system, after those people responsible for them have taken responsibility, sorted out the asylum system and made sure that actually communities come together, not be divided by something that is not our responsibility. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah. Thank you, councillors, members of the public. Normally we would have a 30-minute debate on this, but I can see I have got 5 more people down that want to speak. I'm afraid I'm not going to let any more after that. So we have 5 more speakers, and then Councillor Gould, you'll be seconding the motion. So my next is Councillor Whiting, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not going to take up much time because much of what has been said I totally agree with. I've been to citizenship ceremonies over at County Hall and the Archbishop's Palace where we've welcomed new people to these islands who have come here legally. They have gone through the legal process. They've found sanctuary by coming through that legal process. They haven't just simply turned up on a beach with no passport and no papers and no information about their previous lives, expecting us to take them in. Now, I do blame the government. I don't want to get political. This is a political motion, and I think it's the wrong motion. We shouldn't be discussing it. It's the council has every right to bring it here to be discussed, but it is divisive, and it flies in the face of every opinion poll that I've seen for the last 18 months. This is the wrong motion. It's the wrong time to bring it. So I would be voting against it. But what I would like to see is this recognition that we are a country that does accept people. But we have to get it right, and that is down to the government to get that right, to get the process right, to get people processed as quickly as they could. I can remember when if you turned up at Heathrow Airport without a passport, you were held in custody for a few days while they sorted you out, and then you were put on a plane and you were taken home. Now you can turn up onto a beach in Kent and you are given what you need to survive for months, possibly years, and then disappear into the system, and that isn't right. So the government now, and it's a failure of previous governments, the government now has to build faith with the British people and build that trust again, that they are actually dealing with this in a way that the British public want them to do. I don't even know what this district of sanctuary means. There's nothing in the paperwork that tells me what it means, what I'd be signing up to. There's no list of what the outcomes of being one of these. It doesn't tell me anything at all. So I can't possibly vote for something that I don't understand because nothing about it, other than those 3 words, districts of sanctuary, have been put in front of me. So I don't know what it means and I can't vote for it. But it is a divisive motion and therefore I will be voting against. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. Point of order, Madam Mayor. Under Constitution 3.1.15.8 and 18, I've certainly heard enough to make me think that in terms of making decisions, so I would move that the question be put and the move to the vote.
Seconded. Seconded. Agreed.
Happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, you can't call for the vote to be taken if you have already spoken in said debate.
Madam Mayor, point of order. In that case, that I'll call it.
To have the right to speak because he seconded.
If you've got to reserve his right, you've got to sum it up, and then you go to the vote.
My suggestion is you listen to
I'm content that the person who reserved their right has the opportunity to speak.
Right, sorry. So I'm going to let the seconder, as he reserved his right to speak. Then I will ask Councillor Perkin to sum up, and then we'll go to the vote.
I don't think we've had a vote on the call to go to a vote.
It was agreed in the room.
My word is final, Councillor Palmer. Councillor Gould, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to support this motion. A lot has been said.
Sit down a second, please. Okay, so if you can please let Councillor Gould speak, because until he's able to speak, I cannot go to the vote. So please allow him to speak. I will then ask Councillor Perkin as the proposer to sum up, and then we will go to the vote. Thank you. Councillor Gould.
Thank you. This motion is not about the immigration system. It's not about who we are dealing with. It is about how we deal with the people in Swale who are refugees and asylum seekers, the people who are here in Swale. Now, they may well have been processed through the systems that people have referred to, but they're here now with us, and this is about how we deal with them and what we would like Swale to be like, the sort of borough that we would like to see, and the values. That's what this District of Sanctuary is about. It's about promoting the values of a borough. Christmas is coming up, and I remind those who claim to be Christians to remember what the Christmas story ends with. It ends with the Holy Family as refugees fleeing for their lives and spending time as asylum seekers in Egypt. And later, when Christ was speaking, one of his key things was, how do we know when someone is doing what Christ wants? It is, I was a stranger and you welcomed me. These are the values that this motion is trying to encourage in Swale by not expensive things, not things that will take away from the residents of Swale in terms of housing or anything else, but just doing what we can to show that we are welcoming those who find themselves here having been through hell on earth in many circumstances. So it's with those thoughts in mind that I wish to support this motion. It is not resource intensive. It is not going to be happening overnight. It will be discussed at another committee as to exactly how we go about this. But it is about the values and the type of place that we would like Swale to be. Thank you.
Councillor Perkin, as the proposer of the motion, do you wish to sum up the debate?
I do, thank you, Madam Mayor. So thank you for all of the comments that have come from fellow councillors. I think it has been helpful to hear various different viewpoints across the chamber. I'm quite flabbergasted that a lot of people that I have a lot of respect for have not come and spoken to me about this before this evening. Is it a divisive issue? Yes, it is. But we so often hear from one side of it and we so rarely hear from the other side. And it is, at some point, somebody has to say that the way that things are happening in this country is appalling. The way that people feel that they can talk about people who are really down on their luck and really some of the most vulnerable people in our country is appalling. Some of the very bizarre anti-Semitism that has happened recently in this country is appalling. So yes, it is divisive, but it's a democratic process. Politics is divisive. It's about having open conversations with each other and understanding viewpoints that we might not always agree with. There are people in this council that I don't agree with. There are clearly very many people in the gallery that don't agree with me. But it is important to have these discussions, and it is important to have them in a free and open debate in a council chamber, because that is what a council does. What is not acceptable is people feeling like they can intimidate councillors and shout at them and barrack them and threaten their families so that they can get their one side of the argument across. And I have been absolutely horrified, and and you can hear it now. You can hear it now. Clearly we disagree. We should be able to disagree in good faith and in good understanding that we are all people and we are all trying to do a good thing. So please, I understand people are going to vote against it. There has been some absolutely appalling misinformation spouted in this chamber this evening, and I'm disgusted by it. Can I finish?
Please finish, Councillor Perkin.
Thank you very much. So, and I actually think it's a shame that there are a few people that haven't spoken that probably would have liked to. But obviously, I support the motion. I hear that nobody else does, but I'm glad that I've done it anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. We will. Thank you, councillors. As requested, we will now go to a recorded vote. I will call your name. Please indicate whether you are voting for, against, or abstaining. Councillor Harrison.
Against.
Councillor Chris Palmer.
Against.
Councillor Tim Gibson.
Against.
Councillor Noe.
Against.
Councillor Neal. Councillor Mischuk.
Against.
Councillor Chapman.
Against.
Councillor Kavanagh.
For.
Councillor Bowen.
Against.
Councillor Pollard.
Against.
Councillor Last.
Abstain.
Councillor Booth.
I'm against.
Councillor Moore.
Against.
Councillor Speed.
Against.
Councillor MacDonald.
Against, and I support the poor people who are living on the streets at the moment.
I'm not going to finish until I've got quiet, please. Councillor Worcester.
For the right reasons, against.
Councillor Wise.
Against.
Councillor Cheeseman.
For.
Myself, against. Councillor Marchington.
Against.
Councillor Thompson. Councillor Paul Stephen.
Against.
Councillor Whiting.
Against.
Councillor Ben Martin.
For. Could someone get the name of that individual so that I can have them charged for slander?
Acceptable.
That is unacceptable in this chamber. No. I will clear the gallery. Councillor Perkin.
For, and everyone supports the homeless. It's ridiculous to impose that they don't.
Councillor Gould. Councillor Sarah Stephen.
For.
Councillor Mike Baldock.
Against, and I support Charlton Athletic.
Councillor Richard Palmer.
Vehemently against.
Councillor Braun.
As a Catholic, enthusiastically for.
Councillor Hunt.
Against.
Councillor Winkless.
After listening to the debate, I came with an open mind, but I've now decided to vote against.
Councillor Miller.
Abstain.
Thank you. So, what numbers have we got? Councillors, the motion is lost. 21 against, 8 for. Sorry, 23 against, 8 for. Excuse me. This meeting is still commencing. I'd like to ask the Chief Executive, please.
If members of the public wish to stay, that's absolutely fine. If they wish to leave, unfortunately, this evening our lifts have been damaged, so there isn't a lift that people can use. So people are going to need to use the stairs. And but if if people need assistance, if they could please either contact Joe and myself outside, but you are all very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you choose to. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Members, I will now adjourn the meeting for 10 minutes. Thank you.
which may be joyful for some but equally very difficult for others, the Council has actively participated in this year's White Ribbon Day and 16 Days of Action, which ends today, incidentally. I want to commend the work and collaboration of our staff and external partners for their enduring commitment to the campaign. I would add that whilst the 16 Days of Action ends today, our everyday commitment to it certainly does not. At this point, I do want to highlight a violence against women and girls event that took place at Borden Grammar School. The event demonstrated amazing levels of commitment from young people, which was incredibly inspiring. It was a privilege to be invited to represent our council at the event, and I had the honour of speaking alongside our Mayor, Karen Watson, and Councillor Tom Nundy, who both spoke with passion and sincerity about the importance of the White Ribbon campaign and why we stand firmly behind it. Furthermore, I am proud to announce this evening that Swellborough Council has achieved the National Gold Standard accreditation from the Domestic Abusing Housing Alliance. This is the highest level of recognition for domestic abuse response within housing services. With domestic abuse present in 22% of all homelessness cases that we manage, our officers deal with this reality every single day. The accreditation confirms that we have strong procedures, excellent partnerships and a robust survivor-focused approach. And I want to thank every one of our officers involved for their outstanding work. Turning now to local democracy, members will be aware that we're launching a major community governance review. This will consider, amongst other things, whether Sitting Board and Halfway have their own town or parish councils, potential changes to existing councils, and potentially the renaming of Warden Parish Council to become Warden Bay Parish Council. Parish and Town Council can strengthen representation, improve services and give residents a direct voice. But this must be shaped by the will of the local people through public consultation that will begin shortly. Finally, Madam Mayor, as we approach the festive season, we have published a Christmas and New Year service changes, including the 2025 bin collection schedule, so that residents have clear and timely information. And so, Madam Mayor, as this is our final full council meeting of the year, I want to wish all members of staff and residents across Swale a safe, peaceful and very happy Christmas and healthy and prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite Councillor Lloyd Bowen to give a response to the statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank the leader for his statement bluntly after the shenanigans of this evening. I'm not sure how anyone can actually respond to that, and I'm glad you did the way you did to begin with, because I utterly condone every single act of violence. Condemn, sorry, not condone. See, it's flustered me as well. See, there you go, put a smile on people's faces by making an absolute plonker out of myself. Well done, Lloyd. But yes, we have shut up. We have differences, but when we talk about those differences and opinions, that's where our strength lies. When we start acting and insulting and being violent and threatening and quite frankly evil, that is not difference, that is not debate, that is not democracy, that is threat. And this country is built not on threat but good behaviour and open and transparent and willingness to necessarily understand, cooperate and have and welcome difference. But from what we've seen tonight, far from it. I welcome about the schools. That is really good news. Similarly, Parliament's Week recently, the Chief Exec will remember this from a few years ago. I went back to Tenham Scouts as well on Parliament Week, and the engagement between the young of today, it bodes well, I think, for the eventual future, if that is the calibre we're going to have. I was certainly impressed. Community governance review, I said this at the last meeting, we have for those areas, and actually all areas, we have a duty ourselves to make sure that the full picture is painted to all the residents on the pros and cons of the review, and that includes any financial costings that people may or may not be aware of. I'm going to lean out on one other thank you and recognise the work at this time of year, as you said, Mr. Leader. So, as we approach Christmas end, we good tidings to everybody, but also thank, as it is Christmas, that once again the group for the Sittingbourne Christmas lights and all those who work on lights across the borough for their efforts of making the place look a lot nicer at this time of year, because there are people out this evening also going out collecting money. I know a lot of councils have been involved in that. I'm doing that with Councillor Speed tomorrow evening, and they do it from the heart, from a very good place. Sadly, that's not particularly what we've seen tonight from some members of the public. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. As Councillor Baldock has left already, the crown has been handed to Councillor Paul Stephen. So I invite Councillor Paul Stephen to give a response to the statement, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the statement, Leader. I totally agree with everything you said, and it's nice to hear some good news, especially on a night like this. I was disgusted with what's happened tonight. I hope it never happens again. And as the motion went, I didn't want to vote against it, but I had to in the end. But the first line of that motion, everyone that deserves to live in safety, free from fear and discrimination, that everyone here believes, I'm sure. And I hope that that's what they believe as well. But they've been wrongly directed, I think. And I think it's just a shame that we had to put up with that. But we got through it, and well done, members. Thank you. And Madam Mayor, well done.
Thank you, members. I think I might need to have a lie down with a very large drink later. Thank you, Councillor Stephen. I invite Councillor Hannah Perkin to give a response to the statement, please. Councillor Perkin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Leader, for his statement. I welcome the condemning of the behaviour. Unfortunately, it is behaviour that the residents of Faversham are all too familiar with and battling against daily. So it's not just going to be this evening. I suspect it will carry on as long as people want to poke the bear, I suppose. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about the cost of living events and the Swale roadshows, because I think they've been a real success for the council in helping people who are really facing the sharp end of the cost of living crisis. And I'm trying to stop saying the cost of living crisis, because actually it's just the cost of living now, which within itself is a bleak sentence, isn't it? But despite implications made about me this evening, I care very deeply about residents who are in poverty in the borough. It is something that the Community Housing and Health Committee is committed to supporting in as much as it can. I wanted to thank all the staff and the partners for their continued support for the events. I think they're putting real money back into the pockets of people at Swale at a time where it is needed more than ever. In terms of White Ribbon, again, something that I know people in this chamber have spoken really passionately about, and the 16 days of action have been really great. There was two events in Faversham, and to be able to say that we've been accredited with the gold standard for domestic abuse and housing is such a credit to the team, who do some really incredible work with families who are facing domestic abuse, not just for the victims but also for the children and their extended families. So again, a huge thanks to the staff. This continues to be a really fractious and divisive time for a lot of people in our communities, and it's a really choppy sea out there, and I just wanted to acknowledge that and acknowledge the fact that I've had a number of residents who are of colour that feel afraid at the moment, and as we move into Christmas, I think Councillor Gould's statement around the fact that, you know, we should be remembering the stories that come along with Christmas and applying those teachings in our own lives, whether you are Christian or not, can really be helpful. So a Merry Christmas to everybody, a Happy Yule to those that celebrate that as well, like I do, and to everybody else that is celebrating in various different ways over the winter period. I wish them a happy and peaceful time as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkin. I invite Councillor Richard Palmer to give a response to the statement, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I quite agree with what's been said, and I do feel a functioning democracy is great when it debates and has open discussion. Acts of violence against anyone or intimidation has no place in a modern functioning democracy. And I do like the leader's nice little statement. There's not much there, but there's a lot of good and positive things. And I think what's positive is this council is good when it works together, whether it's a working group on Barton's Point, whether it's getting the local plan sorted out. We may have disagreements on where the houses should go, but generally we try to work together to support the local community. And some of the community really need that support with the crisis and the cost of living that they have and the problems that they face. And it's great that the schools have done so well in the Sittingbourne School and at Iwade, and the youth engagement, that's another good function that hopefully can keep going. And yes, violence against women and girls isn't just a 16-day thing, but it's nice to highlight it in the run-up to Christmas, because it does put a lot of pressure onto families, and there can be a lot of abuse occurring around this time, either because of the pressures of Christmas and that some families face. So, you know, but it is a 365 days, and it's the way we conduct ourselves that we should be leading the examples. The governance review, I quite agree, it's part of democracy. It's up to members to explain to the public, to gear support or not, and let the public decide, and hopefully that moves forward. And I'd like to echo, yes, we're coming up to Christmas, the season of goodwill, and hopefully we'll all have a nice relaxing time during Christmas where we can recover. And in the new year, it'd be nice looking forward to the new year where we can have open, frank debates without trying to belittle or attack people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I invite Councillor Alistair Gould to give response to the statement, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I certainly welcome the opening of the Community Diagnostic Hub. Hopefully that will enable people not to have to travel so far to get diagnoses made and treatment started early, which is always to be welcomed. Green initiatives in schools, yes, they are good. But I think the worry I have with these initiatives like that is that that's seen as, oh, that'll do. Actually, for the children who are facing the future, we all need to step up enormously so that what they hear about in terms of green initiatives isn't something that is impossible for them to carry out and will not affect their future drastically as they go forward. I think if we look at the children in school now and what they will be facing in 20 or 30 years' time, if we do not change our ways now and not wait for them to grow up to do it, if we actually look at what the science is saying, quite horrendous. And we've just got to be careful that about the risk of saying, oh, yeah, no, we're doing teaching the children about green initiatives, but not actually giving them the world that actually would enable those sort of things to, well, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Finally, I would echo my congratulations to the housing team on their work on domestic violence. I think that's really, really good. Domestic violence thrives in times when there is heightened emotion and fear, and I think everything we can do to actually state what the true values are and what the way we should be conducting ourselves to everybody is really important in that sort of area as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gould. I invite other members to give a response to statement. I've already got 3. So Councillor Martin, please. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly welcome the comments from the leader, and I certainly would not want to see a repeat of what we've had in this chamber already tonight at any point. I would like to focus around where the leader mentioned youth initiatives and the environment. I had the pleasure through my day job of being one of the judges of the Green School Awards this year, and I can say with utmost congratulations, particularly to Iwade School, Iwade Primary, who won the category for the overall environmental category for all schools across Kent who entered. They have done an exceptional amount of work, and it is about embedding environmental practice not just into what they do at school, but into what they do at home, and encouraging them to take the lead at home and outside of school as well. I can say that it's the first year ever that a preschool won an award, because a preschool entered who are on an industrial estate with limited access to recycling facilities, yet they are embedding at that age the under 4s, the importance of recycling, the importance of reusing, the importance of rethinking how we use resources. Now, obviously, we don't want to wait the 30 years for them to get into this chamber or any other chamber, but it is good to see those practices being embedded so young. And on the other end of the scale, Mid Kent College investing 15 million to become completely carbon neutral across their campuses. So there's an awful lot of scope in between, but really amazing to see that the schools are investing, and they're not just investing this year, they're building on what they've done before, and they're already looking to next year into what they can build further so that they can influence society. Also, congratulations go to the Sittingbourne School, who also won an award. I certainly welcome getting gold standard for Daha. It is a very difficult process, and every member of the council's community team, housing team, needs a really big well done for that, and we should all show our appreciation. And as we are coming up to that blessed season, a huge thank you to all our staff across the organisation in every single department for all they do, some of whom are going to have a much more difficult night tonight than they were hoping. But we do owe them all a debt of thanks for everything that they do for us and how they work with us. So thank you to all staff across the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Wise, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you to the leader for your, what you've said about the youth engagement session. I think lots of members here have spoken in the past about the real need to engage with young people. We bemoan the low turnout and participation we have in elections in our area, and it's really incumbent on all of us to get involved with the stuff that our schools are doing. It's always an honour to be invited along to help out with stuff that's happening at Kemsley Primary School. They do some really amazing things, and they have a thriving eco council who I've been really proud to work with over the last couple of years. And I hope that young people, when they get involved in the process here and understanding about local government, that they're able to understand, I'm very sure they do, something that unfortunately others didn't understand this evening, and something that I had hoped to say had the debate not been cut short, which is that every member of this chamber is welcome to bring ideas to be discussed freely and respectfully at our meetings. It's one of the many reasons our communities elect us to this authority, and we should never forget that. At Swale, we've shown many times in recent years that councillors can work effectively cross-party, and that the business we do here can be collaborative, collegiate, and in the pursuit of consensus. I'm utterly saddened by the state of political discourse in this country, especially in recent times, fuelled by increasingly truculent social media. At times, the objective of media punditry and political debate seems to be, and the results are, division, disharmony, and outright hostility. This must change, and I'm certain that by working with young people right across our borough, and it's incumbent on all of us to go out there and do this and engage them in the political debate and listen to the things that they want us to work with them on, I'm certain that we can get that sort of better discourse that we want to have in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Wise. You've actually reminded me of an apology I had to give, so I apologise to the 4 councillors who were unable to speak tonight at the motion. I do hope you all accept my humble apology. Councillor Worcester, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will just say one thing about what happened, and that is my usual perch of where we leave a space, misinformation will fill it. And I don't think we could ignore that as a society for much longer. We cannot tar everybody with the same brush. We cannot say, actually, your opinions do not matter. Everybody's opinion matters, but everybody's opinion deserves to be fuelled by facts, not misinformation. And that should be for every single political person to hear every day, all the time. Anyway, your leader speech, Councillor Gibson, leader, when you attend the Sheppey Hospital Diagnostic Centre opening, perhaps you would like to mention to the great and the good that are there that Sheppey would also very much benefit from a mental health haven. At Medway Maritime Hospital, I've had from countless people now how the haven absolutely benefits, and I did visit the place myself on Mental Health Awareness Day, where they have a stop-off place where qualified people support people who are having mental health crisis. There is a stopgap between being at home on their own or wherever they are and being in hospital, where actually things move very fast and potentially there is a stopgap there. Every community deserves that, and if you could mention that we have an awful lot of empty shops in Sheerness High Street that would absolutely lend themselves to being a community mental health hub, then I'd be very much appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Worcester. Councillor Harrison, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This council has a long... by the way, I've been here 41 years. They've been so disgusted with that gallery, and if I'd have been you, I'd have chucked him out after the first lot. But the mayor is always right, even when the mayor is wrong. That was the first thing I learnt. No, first thing I learnt all those years ago, don't quote your constitution at the mayor, because the mayor can totally disregard it. Yes, this council has a long history of... I'm sure the word is not indoctrinating, but I can't think of it. Indoctrinating children in green initiatives. The latest one, before Anne Ryman left, was Arnie the Aardvark. I mean, we've been going into schools for years and years and years, and we had a very good officer who's retired, who used to dress up as figures, and the last one she dressed up as was Arnie the Aardvark. But it was, you know, any way to get young people's attention. And it was the children that were teaching the parents, no, Mum, you've chucked that in the bin. And, you know, those adults hopefully taught their children. And there were a couple of schools at that time who were, ooh, weirdo, they're greenie people. But now it is becoming much more mainstream, and I think that Swale Council has had a very large part to play in that. The other point I wanted to mention, Madam Mayor, was the CDC. I don't want people thinking that I mystery shop for the sake of it, but I have had an MRI up there. It's really great. The staff are really good, and the people that we've had so far are very polite, and they arrive early for their appointment. They don't turn up late. And we have actually had people at that MRI from London. Well, I would say to members here, and make sure you pass it down, when you're referred for an MRI, just say, I'd like it at Sheppey, if you want it at Sheppey. Some people don't. Because there have been people referred for an MRI on Sheppey, who've been given an appointment at Medway. So, got it changed. But, and the other thing is that I have been pursuing the issue of direct referrals, not just for MRI, CT and all the other diagnostics on that site, direct referrals from GPs. I'm not there yet, Alistair, sorry, but I'm up 75% of the way, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. It's a good job I like you, otherwise you'd be off my Christmas card list. Councillor MacDonald, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I was quite interested to learn that about the diagnostic facility that's being opened at Sheppey. My paternal, well, my dad's father actually ran Sheppey General Hospital from 1905. So we had a lot of services and they disappeared. But I think this is a good way forward for the local. My godson actually had, or a godson, had an MRI scan this week, and he was delighted that he didn't have to travel to Medway, so I was really pleased to learn that, and thank you very much. And of course the other thing is the MRI scan, that I know somebody who's had one of those as well, so yeah. Very, very good and well done. The other thing I wanted to mention on was how Swale were doing well. A lot of people won't agree with me, but the Earth's axis is actually altering, and I know that as a navigator. So, you know, you can look over history of climate changes, and then slowly the Earth goes back the other way, That's a fact. 7 years ago, True North and Magnetic North were in a direct line, but now it's leaning the other way. But there will be, I'm not excusing pollution, and I think Swale did incredibly well with a natural way of capturing carbon by planting a lot of broadleaf trees. And I think that's the way forward, quite frankly, because the trees will keep the carbon and expire the oxygen which we all breathe. So well done to Swale for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor MacDonald. I invite Councillor Tim Gibson to respond to members' comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'm glad that Councillor Bowen doesn't condone violence. And also, you know, I did wonder whether it was since he'd rescinded his 100k salary. He said he'd been to the Scouts, and last time he went there, they accused him of having a 100k a year salary. So that was quite interesting.
For all members as well, all members on
All members. Oh. And you mentioned the Christmas lights. I think they're doing a fantastic effort on their rounds. On certain evenings, they have a particularly decent Santa. I'm not sure quite how many centimetres tall he is, but he's probably in the chair. It's in the chamber somewhere. That was in a cracker on Saturday at an event. I apologise. Yeah. So moving on, Councillor Perkin. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think every one of us felt it for you this evening. In terms of cost of living, again, you're right. It is just living that's difficult for people. And yes, in my humble opinion, you are absolutely committed to your residents and work your socks off for them, as do many others in this chamber. So always hold your head up high on that one, because I'll definitely blow your trumpet for that. Councillor Gold, yeah, you're quite right. The green initiatives, they need to be embedded, much like the white ribbon. It doesn't just stop because we've had that day and that's gone and we move on. As I said in my statement, it's, you know, today's children become tomorrow's adults, and that's where it's key for getting that message across and getting that in. I welcome the comments from Councillor Wise and the mental health haven. I've got that, but I don't know whether Woolies would be an appropriate place to put it, but there you go. We'll have a little look and see what we can do. And certainly if Councillor Harrison's got anything to do with it, and it is a doable, then it will be done. And Councillor MacDonald, as always, I'm absolutely in raptures at your historic lessons from the Isle of Sheppey. The one thing I would say about the Magnetic North, never trust those folks from the Magnetic North. That's why I broke away from the Magnet and headed south. And finally, it's a very special birthday for me on Christmas Day. So anyone that would like a piece of birthday cake, I'll see you in here on the 25th. Or perhaps not. But yeah, absolutely. But as I said earlier, I really do sincerely wish you all and your families a really happy Christmas. There are those that won't be having one of those, that's for sure. And perhaps we can just spend a little time to reflect and think about those too. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. We'll now go to item 10.
Madam Mayor, if I may, it's kind of a point of order.
Councillor Bowen.
If I may, I ask for your indulgence with this. Could I request, and if members are also willing to do this, item 10, the Statement of Licensing Policy, Local Plan Review and Local Plan Review Statement of Community Involvement, all three papers have been through the mill so many times through the various committees. They have been done to death. I don't see what difference a debate or in this chamber this evening will make to it. So could I politely request that once they've been proposed and seconded, can we move to the vote on all three to speed things up, if members are willing to agree that?
Seconded. And thirded.
Sorry, I can see Councillor Worcester's hand at the back there.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I do actually have one small question. about the consultation process. Thank you.
Okay.
Just mention that. Thanks.
No worries. So, members, I will go to propose second, and then if anyone wants to speak, but if you don't, we'll go straight to the vote. How's that? Yep. Okay. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. It's Christmas after all. I invite Councillor Tony Winkless, Vice Chair of Licensing Committee, to speak and propose the recommendation. Councillor Winkless.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was notified at 1 o'clock this afternoon that Derek Carnell wasn't well enough to attend this meeting tonight, so I'm going to read out the report. Licensing Act 2003 specifies that a local authority must have a policy that must be reviewed every 5 years. It's a statutory requirement, the policy to be adopted by full council. Licensing officers prepared a draft policy which was presented firstly to Licensing Committee prior to consultation and then to Policy Resources Committee for enforcement and referral to Council for adoption this evening. At the P&R Committee, members made no comment, and the policy and referred to full Council for appointment on pages 740 to page 44. So that is my report back this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winkless. I invite the leader to second the recommendation and ask whether he wishes to speak now or reserve his right.
Duly seconded, and I'll reserve my right until kind of 2027, if I may.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Well, the proposal was put by Councillor Bowen that we will go straight to vote unless someone has a burning desire to speak on this. Is there anyone? Are we happy to go straight to the vote? Agreed. Okay, members, we'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate. All those against? Any abstentions? I apologise, Councillor Winkless, I didn't give you the opportunity to come back. That's carried, thank you.
That's okay.
Agenda item 11. The local plan review. I invite Councillor Hayden Braun, Vice Chair of Planning and Transportation Policy Working Group, to speak and propose the recommendations, please, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You've all probably debated this already due to various committees it's been in. You've read the recommendations in your agenda, and I'm not feeling very well, so I'll leave it at that and propose those recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Braun. I invite Councillor Tim Gibson to second the recommendations and ask whether he wishes to speak now or reserve his right.
I shall take great pleasure in seconding it and reserve my right until 2028. Thank you.
Date's going up. And I think we'll go along with the same as we went for the last agenda item. Councillor Braun, I won't ask you to come back because clearly you don't need to. Okay, so members, shall we go to the vote on this one as well? Oh, Councillor Booth. Oh, you're already voting.
Slightly premature.
I just want to check. Councillor Worcester, was this one you wanted to speak on?
I need to check to make sure if the word consultation is used, to make sure that if any consultation goes out from Swale, that members of the public are able to access. Sorry, that really has put me off my stride, that bit of the meeting. Apologies. I just want to make sure and check that when the word consultation is used, that when stuff goes out, that members of the public are able to access the consultation and answer any online consultation at any point, rather than have to fill in every single element of the consultation, otherwise their answer isn't accepted. So it's a point of access rather than a debating point, because I'm sure people are going to come back and say, of course, we'll have an open access consultation to make it on parity with a paper copy. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Braun.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe my colleague sitting next to me has been very insistent on this over the years, so that will be the case, yes.
Okay, councillors, if we're happy to go to the vote, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate. I think that's unanimous. Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried. Thank you, members. We zip along. Agenda item 12, local plan review, statement of community involvement. I invite Councillor Braun, Vice Chairman of Planning. You've got to have a shorter title for this working group. Planning and Transportation Policy Working Group to speak and propose the recommendation. Councillor Braun.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We all refer to it as PTPWG. And I refer back to my previous comments and propose the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor. I invite Councillor Tim Gibson, second recommendation, and wonder which year he will speak, reserve his right to.
2029 this time. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor. I refer back to the two previous items, so I think if everyone is happy, unless you want to reply, no. We shall go straight to the vote, councillors, if that's acceptable. All those in favour, please. Any against? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you, members. We now come to unlucky number 13 on the agenda, allocation of committee seats. Appendix 3 is tabled. Please confirm that you have all seen a copy. Agreed? I invite the leader, Councillor Tim Gibson, to speak and propose the recommendations. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I may well be using that CDC with knee injuries. I haven't been up and down so many times this evening. Quite straightforward, this one. It's the Council asked to agree the political balance calculation set out in Appendix 2 and asked to allocate seats to those committees and to agree the appointment of members as set out in Appendix 3. And just let's hope that we don't have many more of these going forward, said one Joe Millard at one point, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. I invite Councillor Lloyd Bowen to speak, to second the recommendation, ask if he wishes to speak or reserve his right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will second the motion. See?
See?
Well, I'm thinking a motion still. I second the recommendations and I will speak now and just say I can't wait to allocate somebody to a licensing committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I invite Councillor Paul Stephen. If he wishes to speak, he can say no.
I have nothing to say.
Thank you.
Change.
Councillor Perkin. Councillor Richard Palmer.
I'd only to speak just to make one correction. I sent the form in incorrectly. On the Environment and Service and Climate Change Committee, the representative for reform is Kieran Mushik, not Councillor Chris Palmer, as it says on the paperwork. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Palmer. That is noted. Councillor Gould? No. I open it up to debate. Does anyone wish to debate this? Councillor Harrison.
Not really. Well, I would hope it's not for debate, Madam Mayor. I just sort of wanted confirmation that all these people that are being appointed to committees are there on behalf of Swale Borough Council, looking after the interests of Swale and not their own individual personal interests or their own wards. Am I correct on that?
I think the consensus is yes, Councillor Harrison, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? I invite the leader to sum up if he wishes.
Consider it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gibson. Members, I now ask you to vote. Show of hands. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Anyone against? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. Thank you, members. So we now come to the end, I believe, of this meeting tonight. Again, I would like to thank you all for what has happened this evening. It's probably one of the most difficult and stressful council meetings I've had, and that is without Elliot Jays being here, so that's quite good. Thank you. So we were going to do a Christmas jumper photo. If anyone still wants to do that, we shall meet down at the end there. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your best wishes and your support in the last 6-7 months I've been mayor, so thank you very much. I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. There are refreshments in the parlour, mince pies, the usual fare, Baileys, limoncello, you name it, it's in there. Please come, and you're more than welcome to come and share. So it is free. I've paid for it. Hold on a moment. Right, so, members, due to our little disruption we had earlier, please be careful when using the stairs, as all the men's toilets have been damaged and there is a lot of water. So please, risk assessment, health and safety. Please take care when you're going down there. Okay. I can now close this meeting at 9:10. Thank you very much, members.